Hi, and welcome back to my latest video in the series A Coach's View of. And this one is a bit of a personal one. This is called A Coach's View of God. And I've had an awful lot of resistance to actually recording this, and I know I'm going to get resistance to posting it online because it's such a personal subject and it's just such an emotive subject as well. And that's really the reason why I wanted to cover it. And this is one of the areas where I really have to stress what I've said before. This is my view. This isn't fact. It isn't truth for everybody. It isn't I'm right and everybody else is wrong. This is just how I am seeing things in this moment. And things may change. I've got a few notes because I don't want to disappear down a rabbit hole. So if I am glancing down, it's just I'm checking that I'm staying on track. So a year ago, possibly a bit less actually, if anybody started talking about God or mentioned the word God, I was a bit sort of rolling my eyes and I'd tune out essentially because I didn't feel that that word meant anything to me. Well, no, that's not strictly true. It did mean things to me, but it wasn't anything that resonated with me. So for me, God meant this old man with a beard in the sky that I was taught about as a kid. And I wasn't raised particularly religiously. I think I went to Sunday school when I was very little, but I think that was just so that my parents could have a Sunday morning to themselves. I obviously we talked about Bible stories at school, and I learned about Jesus, and we did nativity plays. But it all felt quite distant, and it all felt like a story, um, and so it didn't feel like something that was at all relevant to me. In the last year or so, I've been speaking to different people, and I've got a different understanding of it now. So I just thought it might be useful if you're struggling with something similar to share what I've learned and what I've seen to be true for me and see if any of it resonates. And again, like with everything, take what works for you, leave what doesn't. So it's been helpful to me to realize what God isn't, and what I thought it might have been. So God for me always used to mean religion. And I'm seeing now that it isn't religion. I've looked at religion in the past. As I said, I wasn't brought up particularly religiously, but I was brought up as Church of England, technically. Um, and I didn't really associate with that. I've looked at different religions and I've found them, even the ones that did speak to me more. I've dabbled with sort of paganism and Wicca, but even those religions seem to have an awful lot of rules and dogma attached to them. You had to do certain rituals at certain times of the year and pray to this god for this, and it just didn't ever feel anything true to me. The other thing that I'd thought about is God the word. So God as a word was quite not triggering for me, but it did bring up this picture of the old guy with the beard, and that didn't really resonate with me at all. So what I've realized now is that God is just a word. Essentially, I could substitute it with anything else. I could substitute it with the universe. I could substitute it with divine intelligence. I could substitute it with spirit. I could substitute it with, let's face it, God is dog backwards. I could substitute it with dog if I wanted to, and sometimes that makes more sense for me. But yeah, it is just a word. It's the best we can use to describe a feeling. And that brings me on to the next thing. I'd always associated God as being something very external to me. So the guy up on the cloud in the sky who was judging me, and I had to keep him happy, and he was deciding whether I got into heaven or not. And if I was praying to him, it was an external thing. And I've realized now that that's not what God is at all. God is, for me, something very internal. God is the universal intelligence behind life. And I see that as being a very nature orientated thing. So I see it most in nature. So an acorn will always grow into an oak tree. It's not going to grow into a pine tree. Birds will migrate thousands of miles across the earth. And how do they do that? That's just an innate thing in them. The way that our bodies work, if we cut ourselves, we generally heal. If we're ill, our body knows how to make ourselves better for the most part. So it's a very personal inner thing. Now, science will explain how birds migrate. Science will explain how my body heals itself, and that's fine and that's great. And if you're looking in a very linear way, that's a useful knowledge to have. But that tells us the how. It doesn't really explain the why behind it. And maybe we don't need to know the why, and that's fine. But for me, that universal intelligence is like an inner GPS system. It's an inner guide, and I fully believe that we all have it. And the reason we don't use it maybe is because we can't always hear it, because it's always very quiet. And for me, it's a quiet, still place within me. And how often am I quiet and still? Not that often. Generally, my brain is very noisy and chatty, and I can hear that very easily. But the deeper intelligence um, is much quieter. So for me, it's been a journey, if you like. I don't like that word, but anyway, it's been a process of learning to listen to that inner intelligence. And you might call it a gut feeling, you might call it an instinct. And we sort of dismiss these things in today's modern world when we maybe shouldn't. Because, how often have you done something and you couldn't really explain why, but just because it felt right, it felt the right thing to do? And that's the sort of intelligence that we we should be following, not the noisy chatty brain, not the noisy, oh, you should be doing this, you shouldn't be doing that, not that sort of voice. And the difference I find with it is that chatty brain voice is quite judgmental, it's very loud, it's always telling me what I should and shouldn't do, it's not very kind. Whereas the inner voice is very clear. For me, it's not, I don't necessarily hear a voice, but I feel words. It comes to me in words, but it's a feeling rather than a sound. And it's always really, really succinct. So I did a post a week or so ago about, it's only a problem if I think it is. That was a phrase that came to me. Very succinct, very to the point, and always quite quiet, but very kind. Just very, this might be useful for you now. So that's how I tap into it. How I follow it is really, again, following the feelings. And I think this is how we connect with that place inside us and stay with it, is follow the feeling that it gives us. So when that phrase came to me, that it's only a problem if I think it is, it came with a feeling of course, of course. And I had a big smile on my face and I was like, yes, I know that to be true. It was a beautiful, beautiful feeling. Now, I've spoken to people who say, follow that beautiful feeling, get yourself into that beautiful feeling. And that's something that I still struggle with. If I'm not feeling in a great place, to try and put myself in a beautiful feeling, I still struggle with. But just recognizing that I'm not in a great feeling can be really useful. It can mean that, do you know what? I'm not going to make any big decisions from this place. And there's also that knowledge that I am capable of having good feelings, and the good feelings will come back. So that's what this process points me back to. I don't deny things if I'm not feeling in a great place. I don't deny it. I don't make that wrong. Because I know that I will naturally come out of it. And if I can think about something that takes me out of it, then brilliant. If I can take myself out for a walk and be in nature, great. That generally works. If I can look at my dog, who is completely in the moment and just lives in joy, that often helps. But just knowing that I am capable of good feelings is sometimes enough. So, how have I got from the place of not believing in God, shutting down? Like I say, it's been a process, and it's been helped enormously by a few people that I've been in conversation with. One of those, I've mentioned his name before, is Michael Neill. He is an American author and coach and a teacher of 3 principles understanding, which I can explain more about if you want to chat about that. And also, I've been working with someone called Deborah Simmons. She does a program called 365 Days of Conscious Creation, which is a daily email nudge, and talks about this whole subject, how we can consciously create, and we can use our inner divine knowledge and wisdom to create what we want to in the world. I will put contact details for both of those in the notes of this video. So I'm still learning. I'm a million miles on from where I was this time of year ago, sorry. Have I found God? I'm not sure. Maybe not yet. But I feel like I'm looking in a more helpful direction. So rather than just shutting down when that word comes up, I can sit with it. I can think about, okay, well, what does that mean to me? So, like I said at the beginning, this is entirely my view. This is my ruminations on what this means to me. It doesn't mean that anybody else is wrong. If you follow a certain religion and that means something to you, then great, well done. If you want to talk about this subject or spirituality in general, then please do reach out to me. And I'm always happy to have a conversation because, like I say, I'm still learning this stuff. I'm still figuring out what it means to me. And having conversations with other people who are in a similar position or are a bit behind me or a bit ahead of me is always really, really useful. And having conversations about God is still really, really new to me. But it's something that I really want to get more experienced at. So my contact details are below this video. Any comments at all, please give me a shout. And if there are any other subjects you'd like me to discuss, please do get in touch. I'm happy to do a video on them. Until then, bye for now.